Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer, and this is the Road to the Record, where I work to achieve mastery of 10 games in a hunt for the best score of the Decathlon. If you like what you see, remember to hit that like button. If you want to see more, hit subscribe. Let the games begin. This is F1 2019. It's Career Mode, episode number 2. We're doing a Road to Glory series with Williams Racing. So episode 1, of course, was the F2 story mode, and now we are actually getting into the real thing here with the season opening race number 1 in Melbourne, Australia. Claire Williams has given us our season objectives, which of course, acknowledging that we are back markers. If you haven't watched F1 in real life, quick summary. Williams is way off the pace this year. Car is much slower than everyone else's. It's got a good power unit with a Mercedes engine in it, which of course now within the game we are on our own. We are not going to be handed down those power units from Mercedes any longer, so we're going to be on our own at this point. But right now the engine that we have in the car is on par with the Mercedes and the Racing Point, which also has that same power unit. For us, everything else is an utter mess. The chassis is the worst on the grid by far, and then the aero package is equal on worst. So you can see just where we're at with that. And looking at the R&D tree real quick. So the engine, okay, you want to show me? No, you're just showing me the package. Where is the... there you go. Okay, so chassis, you can see just how far below we are. Even Alfa Romeo, we're about half compared to them. Here for the front wing, we're level with Alfa Romeo at the bottom, but we're well below everybody else. And then in the powertrain, that's where we're on top. See, equal with Mercedes and Racing Point. But that aero package is really, really bad, and it's hard to get the car around corners without that. So what we're looking at is we need 480 points for our first upgrade. Reason for that is I actually spent our first 1100 on some quality control, decreasing the chance of failure by 15%, which is nice, but we're just short of where we need to be with points. We got almost all the points we needed from practice, but not quite. Came up just a little bit short on that, and so we'll have to wait 1 week to get our first aero upgrade on the go. Now, I've gone through the practice sessions, and I'm pretty much on par with my teammate George Russell, but that still puts us at the back of the grid. I did notice that the one program that I failed was the qualifying program. So I didn't have the qualifying pace, but I seem to have the race pace to right about stay at the back, which... actually, for me, that was a decent session because Melbourne's one of the harder tracks. Now, the unfortunate thing, and this also adds into the difficulties of qualifying, is practice was completely dry. The race looks to be dry, but qualifying is going to be damp. So I very well could be starting from the back. Let's go ahead and jump into it. Now, I have accidentally set up one-shot qualifying from back at the early settings on F2. If you saw the last episode, you would have seen as I quickly chose those settings. That is affecting what we have now going forward into F1. So right now I'm set on one-shot qualifying. I'm starting to think actually though that that's not necessarily a bad thing. And yes, it is storming a little bit. It is rain here for qualifying.
It's the Australian Grand Prix.
I have a dry setup. This qualifying could be tricky. I was off the pace in the dry, and now it's wet. Could be worse.
Who do you see having the advantage on this slippery, unpredictable track surface?
Traditionally, these are very Adrian Newey conditions. The Red Bull's habit of creating incredible downforce coupled with the high rake they like to run is perfect for the wet, and it's helped them close the power gap a number of times over recent years. I think Force India as well, always a bit of a dark horse in changeable conditions, and of course the McLarens have a fairly good chassis. Having said that, I don't want to make a firm prediction. More than performance, the deciding factor is going to be the timing. The level of wetness out on the track is going to constantly rise and fall, and anyone who can find that perfect window when it's at its driest will have a big advantage out there.
So, like I said, I'm not sure that one-shot qualifying is actually a bad thing. I'm thinking about staying with it. Go ahead and leave a comment below if you have any suggestion on whether I should stick to one-shot qualifying or go to the standard 3-session qualifying method. I'll pretty much be starting every episode from qualifying as we go through the season, and then we'll get all or most of the race. But here we go. We're set to go. Parc Fermé is about to get established. I do have a setup that I like, but it is, again, a setup that is for the dry, not for the wet. So we'll see how this lap goes. You can see the weather dynamics are so much better this year. Oh my gosh, I already overshot the very first turn. I'm surprised that Hamilton's pulling away. No DRS. Break a little bit earlier here in the wet. Yeah, even early there, I was still... Whoa! Okay, well, that did not go according to plan. Got on the gas a little too hard, and around we go. Let's try this again. Oh, that curb. Okay, I need to start braking much earlier than the suggested zone. Much earlier. And then stay off the curb. And then light on the gas. Again, I have a dry setup here, and we are qualifying in the wet. I'm already last. And dropping back even further. So let's just try to make it a clean lap, and we'll focus on race day. Now, after those first couple corners, I'm afraid to commit to the corners here in the wet. And I'm already well off the pace. And yeah, not worried about that. We'll just go through it. Lost the rear end, but did save the car. The lap was already gone, so it's not anything I'm worried about at this point. This car is undrivable here in the wet, at least with the setup that I have. I was braking way early and still not hitting the suggested braking points at all. So last place, that's
okay. That's pretty disappointing, but we can turn it around tomorrow.
And with qualifying complete, let's review our top 3 today. Vettel, Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas. Well, that wraps up qualifying, but don't worry, we'll be back tomorrow as we head into the Grand Prix.
Now it's hard to tell how far off the pace we were after that near spin out in comparison, but we were definitely well slow, and you could see that we're looking at a full second between Lando Norris and George Russell, though Raikkonen and Albon are at least in between. One thing I've noticed about this game is the AI is a bit boosted for your rivals, your F2 rivals. So Weber and Butler are both far up the grid from their teammates, Raikkonen and Albon. And I've noticed in other playthroughs where like one of them is paired with Russell. They're 10 spots up the grid order compared to Russell. So those two are coming in for a strong freshman campaign, and it's going to be difficult for us to really get anywhere besides in a battle with Russell in this race, as my pace is pretty much right where it should be for this car, and this car is very much a back of the order. What I can hope for now is a clean race, and we'll definitely aim for that. No rivals selected yet. We'll worry about that after this first race. Maybe not until that race number 2 or 3, actually. We at least do get some resource points. We're 5 short. No, wait. I don't think we're 5 short. We might still be able to get that upgrade going this week. Because I made some comments that...
Obviously, I expected a better session, but these things happen from time to time.
Yeah, it's okay.
Try to make up for it in the race.
We'll live. The race is supposed to be dry. But it's not sunny, so it's still somewhat different conditions. Could factor in. Hopefully it doesn't. But yes, we made some comments and things are 20% cheaper. Let's go ahead and get that front turning vane going. We've cut the failure chance down from 37 to 20%. So that's a big difference. And in the long term will definitely save us some money. And let's hope this one actually turns out on the side of 80%, not on the side of 20%, as we could still have our first upgrade ready in just 1 week's time. With that, we're going to move into our very first race weekend. Don't expect any fireworks here. I will be very surprised if we're competing for anything other than 19th with the car that we have, and I happen to be kind of right at the pace that I'm supposed to be at. So some race weekends I'll definitely be competing for more. Some race weekends I'm going to be off the pace and at the back.
New drivers, new cars, it's a new Formula One season. But it's the same Albert Park that we've come to know and love for more than 2 decades now that plays host to round 1 of a 21-race championship that takes us from here in Australia across the globe and the eventual season finale at the Yas Island circuit in Abu Dhabi. We go racing today then in the state of Victoria, where the drivers have 16 corners and 3.3 miles to navigate at an average lap speed of around 120 miles an hour. The close proximity of the barriers makes accidents inevitable, and recent history shows us that a safety car is not at all out of the question. We have plenty of changes to the sport this year, with tweaks to the regulations, a fresh-looking spread of tyre compounds, and of course some changes to the roster of car manufacturers. It's goodbye to Sauber and hello once again to the classic name of Alfa Romeo in Formula One. It's also goodbye to Force India. They've been rebranded as Racing Point. Joining me to take you through all the action of the 2019 Formula One season is Anthony Davidson. And it's great to have you with us.
Thanks, Crofty. Always happy to be here, and I'm looking forward to getting underway. Last year was Mercedes' 5th Constructors' title in a row, although for the first half of the season it was absolutely neck and neck with the Ferraris. Hopefully this year we can see the chasing pack take that final step, as I'd love to see a championship contest all the way up to the final race in Abu Dhabi. Another story to keep an eye on is the performance of Red Bull, who have switched to the Honda power unit this year. What that will mean for both their performance and reliability remains to be seen.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Sebastian Vettel will start on pole. Fantastic qualifying from the multiple world champion. And Lewis Hamilton completes the front row. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Bottas, Verstappen, Charles Leclerc and Gasly, Perez, Ricciardo, Hülkenberg and Kevin Magnussen, Weber, Sainz, Romain Grosjean and Butler, Stroll, Norris, Kimi Raikkonen and Alexander Albon, Russell and the Professor. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
So like I said, in practice, pace-wise,
Back row of the grid.
I was right about
Great
where I
start
should
to
be,
the
so...
season. So let's try and improve our position over the course of the race.
Alright, so big decision to make here, what compound to go with. We're definitely looking like a one-stopper. I honestly think I should start slow and build into it by going reverse of this. So let's go ahead and edit the strategy. And we're going to flip this. And then flip that. There you go. Now, let's see where we're at. Looks like 8 and 7. Yeah, so it looks like the soft tire, gosh, I want to call it super soft. That's going to take some time to get it used to as they've rebranded the tires. It's all just soft, medium, and hard now, but you can see the C4, C3, C2 there in that banner across the middle, upper middle. That's what used to be the tire compounds. Now they just have compound 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, and then they fit a range week by week, and so it's always soft, medium, and hard. But the colors are different, and that's driving me nuts. It's going to take time to get used to, and even though we're, 7 races into the real life season, 8 now, it's still throwing me off, as is I want to call Racing Point Force India occasionally, and plenty of other things. Alright, with that strategy flipped, do I want to put in the extra fuel to attack later on? Might as well take that extra fuel so we have something to go with. So we'll put in 30 kilograms. That'll give us an extra lap worth of fuel. Just 1 lap? Let's go a little more than that. Alright, well. I think that's going to do it. We're going to get set. My main goal for this race, obviously, we're fighting for last place. Not much happening there. My main goal is to have that clean race, hit that target so we can get the extra 400 points. But to do it without a bunch of flashbacks. Last season, I restrict myself on the number of flashbacks. I'm not going to worry about that for this edition, but I'm going to try to just take them out to where I don't need them. I've lowered the AI difficulty somewhat where I finished with F1 2018. I had hit the low 90s where I was overwhelmed and always pushing too hard, and then things started to get ugly as I was always stressed because I couldn't quite keep the pace of the other drivers by the time I hit that point, except for on a couple tracks. And so then I'd struggle at the back. This year I've tried to set it at 80, try to keep it marginal, keep it where it's good, where I can handle it, and certain races I'll just struggle in the back a little bit, but not be way off the pace, not be so stressed, and then in other races, my better tracks, I can put in better performances and potentially score some points. Australia is one of my worst tracks. So if I could just keep it clean, even if I'm 19 or 20, as long as I'm somewhat close to Russell, we're going to call that a good day. But with that, and hopefully with the de-stressor, this is a difficult first turn from the back end. I mean, look what happened to Ricciardo this year, who gets too hot, too much momentum, nowhere to go, goes off the track, and crashes on the straightaway, even before turn 1, as he hit that grass patch and hit some sort of elevation change and bam, shot the car into the air, destroyed the floor. But with that, let's go ahead and put up 5 red lights here in Melbourne for the season opening race, and our first with Williams. Okay, let's go racing. 5 red lights are up. We got a pretty good start. A little off pace, but it gives me more room to work. Oh, come on. That's what I was trying to avoid. Oh, there goes that first one. Even braking early. There we go. So Russell gets around Albon, at least. Nowhere to go. Terrible angle for the apex, so I back out. do the safe thing that time, but it puts me way off pace, completely messes up the chicane. And now I've got to fight from behind. Should still have opportunities to catch up as the field stretches out. And I've already closed back in a little bit here. There we go. That brings me back up a bit. ERS down to a manageable load. Oh gosh, I'm all the way out of neutral. First time I've done that. I haven't done that in practice once and ended up with a final turn there that was a mess as well. And now we've got the open space to run. A lot easier for me to run in the open anyway. I'm not a very good traffic runner yet. Again, this is a bit of a noob series. Not terrible. I generally keep a pretty good line, and you know, the AI difficulty level is definitely not at noob level, but I'm not terribly far beyond that. It's still very much an amateur in the sim racing world. So, yes. Don't expect fireworks in this series. Not yet, anyway. I've already improved a lot since the beginning of F1 2018, when the series really started. I've added the racing wheel partway through that series. And I'm certainly better than I was. We can see off the pace here. Just not quite there yet, but keeping it clean for the most part. Quite get the most out of the car, but do enough here. Keeping that decent line, keeping decent pace. I am in the slowest car, remember. It's not like Pierre Gasly jumping up to Red Bull and suddenly being super slow. Well, hey, actually, I suppose maybe it is a little bit like that because
use it when within 1 second of the car ahead and in the DRS zone.
I'm not right behind Russell, am I? But remember, I did start with a heavier fuel load, and I did start on the yellow walled medium compound. This is so much better than running in the wet in qualifying. Definitely trying to shift early enough so that I don't do damage to the gearbox. So that slows me down a little bit more. I am thinking about the races ahead, especially as I'm off pace and the car will get faster eventually. Albon's still in 19th, and it's Raikkonen in 18th, so Russell got around him as well. So good for George. Somebody just got something, but I didn't see what it was. It definitely wasn't a warning for me. It better not have been. Ooh, come on. That's my bad corner. That final corner, I always have to brake way earlier than the braking zone suggests, and that time I was pretty much just a little early instead of super early. Really struggling with this turn now. Okay, it's yellow in sector 3, so somebody's got a problem.
Be aware, there's an incident in the next part of the track. No overtaking
to
through
the
yellow
inside.
flags.
Didn't see who that was. It's Vettel! Sebastian Vettel out of the race at the end of lap number 3. And we're into 19th, so we've already hit our race objective.
faster
So
engine
the
mode.
pole sitter has gone out of this race. Does that mean Lewis Hamilton's into the race lead? Could be. Into lap number 5 now. Vettel's been cleared off. There is some debris there off the track. I think that was there. I think I saw it flying at the end of lap, or on lap number 1. So it looks like somebody lost a chunk of wing there in turn number 2 on the first lap.
Battery charge is high. Let's increase ERS deployment to up the pace.
Starting to run some good consistent laps here. Of course, now I'm off on my own.
Approaching the pit window, you'll be on the softs.
Maybe, just maybe, we can get faster down the stretch. Got all that fuel to burn. We've stayed about neutral here since the start of the race, so I'm burning about the right amount of fuel per lap, which means I will be able to turn up the mode. Got plenty of ERS. Starting to use it a little bit on the straights instead of having DRS, instead of the drag reduction system. Like right now, so turn it up just a little bit, gain a little bit of speed.
Front is 7.6 seconds.
Oh, I'm 7 seconds down though. That's a pretty big gap. But again, I'm going to be on the faster tire compound after my stop. And I'll have that fuel mode. So maybe, you know, turn things up. Got that consistency. It's not quite over yet. Oh! There you go. I hit the braking zone when it says I should, and I miss it. We'll go from here.
You're catching the car in front by a second per lap.
There you go. See, better pace. Gaining a second on Albon after losing so much early on. Of course, that was with help that time, as I again made a mistake on the penultimate corner. One place I've been making mistakes today. It's 2 now. Lap 7, so one more lap till we pit. And we're going to see some cars pitting in this time, so I could theoretically be ahead of some cars here on this lap. You know, outside of Vettel, of course. He's out of the race, that doesn't count. But he does. Maybe that's going to be the title of the video. Beat Vettel in our first race? What?
We're going to box this lap. Push hard on the in-lap. The gap to the car ahead is 6.9 seconds.
Holding steady.
Remember, box this lap. Keep an eye on your distance to the speed limit line as you approach, and make sure you don't speed.
Alright, here we go. Time for our first F1 pit. Oh gosh, teammate in the pits as well.
George is coming in for his stop.
He should be out of the way though. Well, before I get up there, it's probably him that just pulled out. There's Albin, that's who I'm chasing. There's Raikkonen. No, there's Albin. Oh! Oh, I did end up having to wait.
Exit now.
That was a pretty slow stop, 4 seconds. Ouch.
Pit strategy complete. See these tyres through to the end now.
So I lost a second waiting to get my pit in with the double stack. Unfortunately, I did not think that Russell was going to be that close, but it's Russell who's now in P18. So he lost 2 positions. He lost 2 positions in his pit stop and cost me time as well, putting me even further back. The double stack should have been just fine. He should have been far enough ahead. I mean, there was a 7-second gap to 19th, or to 18th, I guess. Because I'm the one that's 19th with Vettel out.
Some information on Albon. They seem to have an issue.
Issue for Albin, that's good for me. We'll see, I'm now on opposite strategy of my teammate. So, could I start turning in some better times? We'll find out here in a second. Well, maybe not this first lap. Yeah, see, I overshot that one, but the tire's better grip. I was still able to get it slowed down better than I was on the mediums. So on the softs, can we get something done? We are 5 seconds behind Lance Stroll now. It's Lance Stroll instead of Russell. So Stroll has gone
Car ahead
backwards.
has come in to fit the mediums. Car ahead, now running medium tyres.
Did he just come out of the pits? Is that why you're telling me that? Or is it just because you're letting me know what strategy he's on now that he's the car in
Gap
front?
to the car in front is 4.7 seconds.
4.7. We are catching. This race is not over yet. Turn it up to the rich mix. Ooh, touch the barrier. Ooh, there they are. It's Albin now, with his problem. It's now the car ahead. Now back down, save it for that section of the track. There we go.
We have 5 laps.
The race is on. A little late on the brakes, but again, these tires much better about handling that than the mediums were. Almost within a second. Albin tries to brake. We're going to go wide. Walk him off too wide, though. Give him a chance to come back at me. Oh, there we go.
Nice move. Good job. Okay, gap ahead is 5.5 seconds.
5 seconds now to Russell, which is the same gap as what we had before. So this could be it. Even then, it's one position. I'll take it. Minor victory.
Reduce ERS deployment.
I did. Right before you said it. I'll leave the fuel mix turned up though because we still have one spare lap of fuel and just a few laps to use it up, so keep us going fast and maybe, just maybe, close up ahead of us. We certainly have the tires for it, and I've been pretty good on tire wear. With the fuel mode turned up, we're not really saving fuel anymore, or ERS, I mean.
There's 3 laps of fuel remaining.
Ooh.
Caution, caution, yellow flags ahead. No overtaking through the caution zone. Be careful until you see the greens.
There it is. We got a slow car. It's Lance Stroll. And there's another position.
Green flag.
This one aided by a problem, but I'll take it. P17. In our very first race at Inna Williams, and it's my teammate that I'm just behind in George Russell, and in terms of pace, there he is. We've closed him down. Final 2 laps here. Coming up on the last lap, not too long from now. We have a chance. 1 lap to catch Russell. Not sure if we can do it. We're down to 0.4 on the Rich mix also, so we're going to have to keep an eye on that. We might not be able to use it the whole lap.
Final lap of the race.
Turn that down.
They're speeding up again, so I expect they've fixed whatever the problem was.
Who is? Stroll?
We're not going to be able to run in this engine mode much longer.
Lewis Hamilton has won the race.
Drop down to mix 2 soon.
Your S is gone. So close. But this is a really good battle. Got our teammate right down to the end here. Fuel made it. Alright, well, hey, P17 and just behind our teammate.
Okay,
That's a heck of a first race.
That was a fantastic drive.
I'm really happy with that. Really happy with that. Especially our ability to come back at Russell in the end and keep it almost entirely clean. I mean, I had that little brush on the first lap. I had to reset that, and I missed that corner, what, 2-3 times? That penultimate corner.
What a great race it was.
Other than that, good race. Good race. I'm happy. I'm happy with that P17. No, I'm not in the points. No, I didn't beat my teammate, but we came right up on him. Hamilton takes the win after Vettel retires. We beat Albon on track. We beat Stroll, but of course Stroll had a problem.
And I can see the drivers starting to approach the podium for the victory celebrations. A real team victory today. Everybody played their part. Congratulations then to Mercedes, your race winners today.
Leclerc takes second after starting in 5th position. Valtteri Bottas takes third to complete the podium. First podium in the F1 2019 season. We'll be seeing Leclerc and Hamilton up there a lot this season. Hamilton also gets the bonus for fastest lap.
Now let's discuss, Ants. Who would you say is a contender for driver of the day?
It's got to be Lando Norris, hasn't it? Smooth, confident and assured. I've got no doubt that
really just 3 positions.
With his performance today.
Let's move on to the
I got 3 positions too.
To the top of the table.
So did Russell.
I'm equal parts exhausted and elated with this weekend of Formula One.
Oh, Stroll ended up DNFing.
For the next one.
But I ended up 13 seconds clear of Albon. And we weren't too far off the pace, actually. I mean, you think about real life, Williams was a lot further off the pace than this. And Kubica was almost a lap down to George Russell. So I'll take it. I end up just 1.35 seconds behind George Russell by the end of this race, after being a good 7, 8, 9 seconds down to him. And remember, our pit stop, he held me up as we ended up with the unintentional double stack. And his pit stop ended up slow enough that he pushed me back even further. So there you go. And we had a slow stop, over 4 seconds to boot. So that put me back by more than 5, 6 seconds from him, and I ended up just 1 second down at the finish. So I'll take it. It was good. Early standings, of course, Hamilton on top, and he gets the bonus point. Constructors, it's Mercedes, Red Bull, Ferrari, after the DNF by Vettel, are only third. Renault, just 4 points behind him, and then Haas, Racing Point, and Alfa Romeo clean up the last of the points at the bottom end. Williams, Toro Rosso, and McLaren are all scoreless, but hey, we're not alone. But that's going to do it for this episode on Decathlon Gamer. And remember, I'm aiming for the best of the best. So if you're ready to join me on my journey, hit subscribe and tune in next time on my Road to the Record. Bye for now.